we talked about these two churches. You remember them? That's Church A, sort of all over the map. And this is Church B. Church B is focused on mission. I mean, every part of the church is focused on mission, not just the pastor, the members. All right. We've decided this is not acceptable to God. This is mediocrity. God wants this, a church that's on fire for Him. Now the big question is this: how do we go from here to here? We can't do it by just wishful thinking. Okay, good intentions won't do it. It takes strategic and spirit-filled. Okay, both of those, strategic and spirit-filled determination to become this Church B. Now, when we talk about strategy, we're talking about the idea of, I'm going to put another word here, habits. You see, Church B has certain habits. And any organization wanting to be Church B has got to have certain habits. It's important. They're very succinct, specific habits that go into the making of Church B. And if you look at Exhibit 1, you'll see a list of those habits. One habit is taking an inventory to see where you are, to make sure that you're functioning at a high level. The second habit is commitment. A third habit is a good climate for your church where people work together well. Fourth habit is leadership development. Fifth habit is establishing a mission, putting a strategy in writing. Habit 7, departments working together. Habit 8, making the mission happen through evangelism. Habit 9, a dashboard for measuring progress. And habit 10, becoming that kind of model that God would have us to be. So, habit number 1 wants us to take an inventory, wants you to take an inventory as to where your church falls on this whole scale from A to B. If we use the scale from 1 to 10, where 1 means no habits and 10 means perfect habits, you'll probably not be in either case. You'll more than likely be somewhere in between. Most churches that do this find themselves somewhere around a 3 to 5, occasionally 6. Okay? Some churches below that and others above, but this is sort of the range. So what you need to do now with your church is to take an inventory. Where are you in terms of being a mission-driven church, being focused? On this exhibit are these habits, and there's the scale from 1 to 10. Now, what the church needs to do, particularly the church board does this, is to read these, and then make a self-determination as to where you fall. What happens many times is church boards will give this out individually, then groups will come together and say, well, we think we should be a 5, and they'll talk about it, or a 3, and they'll talk about it. They'll come to consensus as to what your church looks like. So this is something you do. It's nothing no one makes you do. It's your church's idea as to where it falls. I've never yet had a church to say, we're so far up the scale that we don't need any help. Almost always the church says, whoa, we've got some areas of real need here. So the church needs to decide, are we going to be satisfied with just the status quo, the same old, or are we going to do something to move toward a culture of mission-driven excellence? And we call it MdX for short, a culture of excellence as in Church B. Some churches that actually took the leap to do this became younger. By that I mean, one time the church had no young people in it. Then all of a sudden, here are children, here are youth, because the church started coming alive. Another church became more inclusive. It started to represent the community to a much greater extent. Another church experienced exponential growth. And we had lots of other success stories. The point is, may God help your church to take a good look at itself, take an inventory, and then take the leap to become a church of mission-driven excellence.